everyone, it's Conan, and I'm back with a watercolor video. What? Really? No markers? No digital art? It's watercolor? Yes, it's watercolor! And I'm very excited, because I really like watercolor actually. I don't know, it's just something about it that's really fun, like spreading the water on the paper. And I don't know, it has such beautiful colors, and mixing is also really fun for me. So yeah, I'm doing a watercolor piece. I don't exactly remember what this piece was inspired by. Well, I needed a present for a family member, but I think I was reading Girls Made of Snow and Glass or something. So I wanted to draw something with some fairy tale vibes, but it turned out really dark because of course it did, because I can't draw anything happy. What is this? Like, wow. No, but really. For the background, I am using a mixture of Daniel Smith paints and my Russian watercolors, the White Nights ones. And I like both of them a lot. From the White Nights I have like the big palette, and I have some separate tube colors I bought, which is like a mixture of Dan Smith, Sennelier, and Schminke. And I also like all of the tube colors I have. And for the mountains I used some masking fluid, and I also put masking fluid around the character so I wouldn't paint into the character thing. And here you can see me removing the masking fluid. I kind of don't remove the mountain masking fluid until I'm done with the whole thing. So yeah, that's gonna look bad for a bit. But I'm using the Schminke watercolor masking fluid or whatever it's called. It's transparent and it doesn't smell too bad. Like, I think it's bearable. And I haven't had any bad experiences with it, like ripping the paper or staining or letting color through. The thing with masking fluid is just that you have to let it dry before you can remove it, like completely let it dry. And I usually apply it pretty thickly. So sometimes when I'm done painting it isn't completely dry. That's why I left the mountains, because I did the character first and then the mountains. Right now I'm inking the character with my Micron PNs. I think that's the one in dark blue. I don't know what exactly it's called, but they have two blues and it's like the darker one, and the hair with the dark red one. I don't really like the saturated color Microns because they can be a bit much. But I really like the desaturated ones. They're great, they're fun. I also like them because they're the PN nib and I don't ruin that in one drawing because I have a really heavy hand, so I tend to ruin my fine liners. So yeah, these are great, but I use them on like every traditional video. But yeah. Also, I'm using a separate porcelain palette to mix, because that's just the surface I prefer. Also, yeah, you could see my giant White Nights palette. I took the mixing thing off the palette actually, so it's less bulky because I'm using the porcelain thing anyways. And another perk of the porcelain flower palette is that I can only put so many colors into this. And I know when it's filled up with a color in every well, I should probably stop adding colors, because then my color scheme would be too convoluted. Yeah, the little plastic palette you see popping in right now is my tube watercolor palette, where I keep all my tube watercolors I buy separately. They're mostly Schminke, but like I said, oh, it's also one tube of Old Holland, but I don't think I used that. But it's like a really pretty purple, but it granulates so much. And for skin, I usually don't use granulating colors. I really like them for background textures and such, but they're not the greatest for skin because it can look pretty patchy. And yeah, the indigo and the black, it's all from White Nights. And most of the White Nights paints don't really granulate, which is why they're great for skin. because with most watercolors I have, there's at least a bit of granulation, but that's probably just the colors I have. Like, especially the Sunny Blue granulates a lot, but I don't think I used it here, really. And I have a pretty weird watercolor technique. Like, I kinda cell shade, but I also kinda blend it out. It's just a weird mix because, I don't know, I'm not too big of a fan of super blended artwork because I think it can look overly perfect, overly blended. I'm mostly a fan of cell shading, probably because I do comics, but I don't know, it's just the style I like the most. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how the dress came out, especially like the upper body. For some reason, the shading there turned out pretty well. Like, I'm extremely happy with it. I just used, I think, I can't remember because with the White Knights, the ivory black, I think, and the Payne's gray looks way too similar, and I can't tell them apart, which is like kind of bad, but whatever. And I just put down indigo first and then let it just merge with the black. And for the skin, I'm just using blue, and I mixed a bit of purple into it to give it a shadowy tint. Like, right now the color scheme is incredibly cohesive, but I'm adding the red as a contrasting color because red and blue is like my favorite color combination for some reason. I just like the way they work together a lot. They're almost complementary colors, but like not quite, because complementary color for blue is orange and for red it's green. And so I think they harmonize really well. Also, in case you didn't know, red and blue are often used in movies if you want the lighting to imply something scary or spooky. They mostly use complementing lighting, but they use lighting that doesn't complements very. That's why I get my color schemes, because the light is always either orange and green or red and blue, and I really like to have an uncanny vibe to everything I do because that's just my jam. But yeah, and isn't the hair watercolor gorgeous? It's like a Daniel Smith color that I got recently, and they're really overpriced where I live, but I still buy them. But I found like an online store where they are a bit cheaper, so I might be ordering from there, because it's like a Series 3 on the online store is the same price as a Series 1 here, which is like really bad. But I mostly think it's because it's American watercolors, so you have to pay for the import fees and such. But yeah, also I basically just use brown brushes in varying sizes by varying brands. And this one sword brush by Dale and Ronnie, I really like the sword brush. It's so much fun because you can cover large areas pretty fast, but you can also do details, which is nice because, well, there's details. And it just holds a lot of water. I usually don't like Dale and Ronnie stuff, just because I've had a gouache once, and holy moly, the cheap Dale and Ronnie gouache is really bad. Like, don't buy it. I think it's the Simply gouache. Like, I had that, and I unfortunately still have it, but it's so bad. It doesn't even re-wet. Okay, so now I'm using my fine text again because I have to use my fine text for everything because they're just so pretty and they were expensive, so I gotta like get my use out of them. And I didn't let the water sit long enough, so the moon is like at the moment not really covered, but I'm going over it again, so it's gonna be fine. Also, you may be able to see I left some masking fluid on the tip of the crown or whatever that is. So now I'm kinda awkwardly removing it and smudging everything while doing that. So I just elongated everything, and now it's kind of awkwardly big. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm just adding some decorations onto the dress. And I'll also be going over the ice mountains or whatever with some shiny Daniel Smith, which might have been a mistake because I liked the contrast better before I did that. But yep, there's no one doing traditional art. And now we have the good part, the peeling of the tape. Yeah, I filmed a bit of the tape peeling. Masking fluid on the mountains is still on because I'm a professional. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.